Well, you already know what it is, my people. We are at the end of another international break, the last one before the World Cup. And oh boy, the French are in Malaise, the English are in the mud, and my fellow Americans are looking distinctly average. Let's get into it. Good afternoon, my peoples, and welcome back to the counterattack. I hope you and yours are doing very, very well. Today, we are going to get into this international break, the last one, the last big one anyway, before the World Cup in Qatar this November. Oh boy, very, very excited. But the first thing we're going to get into is the French Malaise, my people. Ooh, good heavens. You already know what it is with the French. Every time they do well at a World Cup, the next World Cup, they forget how to play football. The infighting starts, the ridiculousness starts. We all remember what happened at the World Cup in 2002, and then again at the World Cup in 2010 in South Africa. Just a disaster. World Cup prep for the defending champions Les Bleus is not going well at all, my peoples. Ugh. First up, we have the injuries, and oh my goodness, you could build an entire starting first 11 with the players that France have injured out right now. And this is just a sampling of who Les Bleus have out right now. Kimpembe, Pogba, Konate, both Hernandez brothers somehow, Theo and the other one, I can't remember what his name is. Jules Koundé just got injured in the last round of matches. Mike Maignan, I think is his name. I feel like he was going to be number 2 behind Lloris, but still, ugh. First of all, you can't trust Lloris at all. I really don't rate him as a keeper. So I've actually been looking forward to seeing another French keeper, maybe Areola, maybe Albin Lafont, even though he does not seem to get picked for the senior men's team. But Mike Maignan, I thought maybe we'd get to see him a little bit in Qatar. I really don't know. He looks like he went down with a muscular injury. N'Golo Kante. I have not seen N'Golo Kante in 9 months. He has been injured for a very long time. I would be very surprised if Deschamps picks him. Rabiot, Karim Benzema, which is probably the biggest one, and then Kingsley Coman. That isn't even everyone. Such an injury crisis for the French. Some of they'll probably be available to be chosen by Deschamps, but I don't know. A lot of these are maybe, reoccurring muscle injuries, and we all know what happens with them, There's a 30% chance of elite athletes to re-injure even a simple muscle injury when they've had and they try to come back. So you really never know how each one of them is going to respond. Pogba, I know, just had surgery. I really don't expect to see him, not only because of his injuries, but because of everything else that's going on again in Paul Pogba's life. Ugh. Speaking of dearest Paul Pogba, oh, my man, he has been through it almost everywhere he's went, especially after he came back to England. But we have this Paul Pogba madness that somehow now has included Kylian Mbappe. I'm pretty sure you've all have heard about it, how one of his brothers and some childhood friends of his got together with an Italian gang and essentially tried to blackmail him about some of the things in his personal life and everything that he's doing. He's now under police protection in Italy. His brother, I heard and have read so far, has been arrested. I think his ex-childhood friends, they're definitely not his friends anymore, are they? Have also been arrested. The gang is under investigation. It is just another huge, huge mess. Apparently, one of the things that his brother and his childhood friends were blackmailing him about was that Paul Pogba apparently enlisted the services of a witch doctor or something like that to, I don't know. I don't know if it was to put a spell on Kylian Mbappe or something, but it's come out. Mbappe said it doesn't affect him and he doesn't care. But this is just another huge, major distraction right before a World Cup. I hate to see it. As if all of this just was not enough. As if it wasn't enough. There is a further problem with the French footballing authorities. This time, it has to do with the president of the FFF, Le Garret. He has a strong relationship with Deschamps, but he also has been in the media for inappropriate text messages that he sent to female employees at the French footballing federation. And also, he's accused of covering up and not acting on numerous inappropriate incidents that have happened within French football over the years. I don't know if any of you follow Roman. I can't remember his last name, but he's a French-speaking football journalist. He's sort of exposed a lot of horrible things that have gone on in the mostly in the Francophone world, but also across other countries in Europe. He's exposed some inappropriate to very, very illegal things that have gone on in football, the stuff that's gone on with the Haitian footballing authorities, stuff that's gone on in French academies. The French footballing president, Le Garret is his name. He's 80 years old, and he refuses to retire. He wants to see out his term, and he refuses to get into any of the inappropriate behavior that is alleged at him and at other people in the federation. And it just makes for a bad atmosphere around the team. You know, you can try to ignore things as much as you can in this footballing world and just pretend that it's all about the sport. But these are human beings that are playing. These are human beings that are running the federations. And they do bad things just like they do good things. And you have to talk about it. All of this is going on within the French national team and the federation, and that's even before we get to the form of the French team, which since the March friendlies, where they beat Ivory Coast and South Africa at home, it has been very, very poor, extremely poor. The French were in danger of getting relegated out of Group A. Thank God that didn't happen. They avoided the embarrassment that the English went through. But if we look at their results here, a loss at home to Denmark, a draw away to Croatia, a draw against Austria on the road, a loss at home to Croatia. That's really where I just knew it's not going well for the French team. Those 4 matches this past summer that they played after the club season ended, really, really, truly poor. And then these last 2 matches that they played, they beat Austria, which was very, very important to not getting relegated, and I think also for their confidence. But then they followed it up with a pretty uninspiring loss in Copenhagen to the Danes. Credit to the Danes. They are a very good side. I am not looking forward to when the French have to play Denmark at the World Cup. Ugh, that is just not, it's not looking good, my people. It is looking like another repeat of 2002, where they are just going to just not show up. They have all of the ingredients are here for a poor display at the World Cup. You know, the first match on November 22nd, they have Australia. They really should be beating them. But last time, when they won the World Cup, Australia were not an easy game. There are not going to be any easy games, I think, in this group. Australia is not going to be an easy game. Then they have Denmark. They have a strong, strong chance, the Danes, of winning that one. Absolutely. They look really, really good. Barring any injuries, I expect them to make it out of this group. France wrap up with Tunisia on November 30th. You don't want to be going into that game needing a win. You know, there's obviously the history between these two countries, and whenever that's in the mix, just like when France played Senegal in 2002, guess what happened? The Tunisians know the French players, they know the French league, and really, you don't want to be going to that final group game needing all 3 points. England. My goodness. 6 matches without a win, including look at some of these bad losses in that 6-game spread. Losing away to Hungary, not good at all. Losing at home, 4-0 to the Hungarians. Oh, come on. You got to be doing better than that. These last 6 games have been truly, truly some of the most depressing football that England has ever played. I mean, just really, really bad. 6 goals without a win. They've only scored 4 goals across those 6 games, and 3 of them were against Germany. Unbelievable. They have been poor, just like the French team, since the March friendlies. And on some level, you do have to have a look at the manager, Gareth Southgate, our own waistcoat merchant. You know, England are a boring international team. It's time to say it. They just are. English managers, they come in, they see the attacking talent, the midfield talent, and even the goalkeeping talent and defensive talent on display in the Premier League by English players, And then they come out and they play very defensively. Gareth Southgate, he loves more than his love for right backs. He loves a mid block. He loves a mid block, and just by its very nature, it's very defensive. He loves three at the back with some wing backs. Again, very defensive. If you think England are going to go out there and play progressive attacking football, pressing up super high consistently, you're going to be disappointed. They're not Man City, they're not Liverpool, they're not even Arsenal. They're more Tottenham Hotspur, a cowardly team or a cowardly set up team that plays defensively and tries to nick goals through set pieces, which they are very good at. Credit to Harry Maguire, he is one of the best in the air. Through free kicks, which is why they love taking Trippier, which is why Southgate loves Ward-Prowse. But they're not going to play expansive football. It's just not who Southgate is and what he thinks this team is capable of, more importantly. He doesn't believe that this team is capable of playing that way, except against quite lowly opposition. For example, when they went out to play Ukraine in Rome at the Euros, it was more attacking because they truly believed that they could beat this Ukrainian team. And they were much better than them. They beat them 4-0. But overall, The last thing we're going to get into today when it comes to England is the big old question that everyone loves talking about. Does Trent Alexander-Arnold go to the World Cup? Where does he fit in Southgate's team? And from my view, he doesn't. He just doesn't. He doesn't fit in Southgate's team, nor does he go to the World Cup. And that is really unfortunate for such a talented, attacking, right midfield defensive player. I don't even know what you really call him anymore. And I think that is one of the problems. Southgate likes to know what he's going to get out of his defenders. You know what you're going to get out of Kieran Trippier. You know what you're going to get out of Reece James. You know what you're going to get out of Kyle Walker. And those three right there are probably the ones that he's going to take to the World Cup and not Trent Alexander-Arnold. A lot of people say that Trent's defensive acumen isn't really there, but I think the way that Liverpool play, when he's trying anyway, and when Virgil van Dijk and the rest of the defense are trying and have the energy, is just his defensive responsibilities aren't too much. It's up to him to get forward and to create. And that's not what Southgate needs out of his right back. Did you think I forgot about you, my fellow Americans? Absolutely not. And my boys from the USA, oh my goodness, it's also not really looking good. They look distinctly average. So average. Berhalter, he doesn't know his main striker. Is it Pifok? Is it Timothy Weah, who I haven't seen in quite some time? Is it Areola? Is it Ferrara? Is it the young man that plays at Augsburg? Pepe? I don't know. I think perhaps maybe for the strikers at this World Cup, like Pepe, he could be good. Perhaps this World Cup is coming a little bit too soon for them. Berhalter, I think, is going to play it safe and probably go with Ferrara. I just think that's the way he's going to go. Flank him on either side with Aronson and Pulisic and hope to get out of the group. The performances against Japan and Saudi Arabia, which, by the way, these are teams that the United States doesn't really find themselves playing too often. I mean, if you look back at their Nations League qualifying, I think they're in the same group with Grenada and El Salvador, Honduras, I think. And really, you're not going to get that great of a warm-up games out of these games. Listen, CONCACAF is a pretty weak federation to qualify from, especially if you are as strong as the United States and Mexico. If those two teams don't make it to the World Cup, then it is a huge embarrassment and a disaster. So when the United States team plays against these, more advanced teams, this time like Saudi Arabia and Japan, you start to see, what are they really made of? And honestly, these last two games, if this is what it's going to look like at the World Cup, they will be lucky to get out of the group. Against Japan, they were completely outmatched. They were second best all game long. Japan looked like they had a better game plan. They were much more aggressive. The only good thing that came out of that game against Japan was that Matt Turner, I thought he looked very, very solid. Well done to him, because anytime he's lined up for Arsenal, I have just been shaking in my boots. Thank you for sticking with me, my people, through this very, very long international break review. We are right back at it, back into club football this weekend, North London Derby. I'm very, very excited. I'll see you next time. Take care.